Hey MotoAmerica fans, this is Matthew Scholz. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the MotoAmerica YouTube channel for more coverage and also like or comment.
Yesterday's Superbike start was, well, hectic.
Gagne is down on the exit of turn number 2. Loris Baz is down as well.
But in the end, it was business as usual, with Jake Gagne snatching his 10th in a row. But a night of data crunching and morning changes have closed the gap to the championship points leader. Can Gagne make it an amazing 11 in a row? It's time to find out. You've landed on round 6 of the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. From Brainerd International Raceway, it's Motorcycle Superbikes at Minnesota. Hello everyone and welcome to the HONOS Superbike class and welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time champ Jason Pridmore. Now Jason, as we saw at the very top of the show, it was a bit hectic yesterday, but I would say Jake Gagne got a little lucky in that one.
Incredibly lucky, and when you're on your way to trying to win your first championship out of as many races as he's won, to tip over like that and have that bike get back to the pits and really have nothing wrong with it, to be able to restart, incredible amount of luck.
Let's take a look at the race highlights because, well, it was a bit crazy yesterday.
Yeah, right off the bat, it looked like Jake had got in there a little bit tight and just lost the rear. Things spun around on him. From this view here, you'll see it comes all the way around on him. He's got a little protection with his bike, but all these riders did a nice job of getting out of the way. But just down one more corner, Loris Baz tosses it in turn 4. Unfortunately, the red flag ends up coming out. Restart that Loris, unfortunately, was again not able to make. Early on, it was Cam Peterson, and then Jake Gagne goes up underneath him. Matthew Scholz slides up underneath Peterson. As you can see, these two guys, while they were battling, the number 50 of Bobby Fong comes along, takes over second place. This was a huge moment for Matthew Scholz as he loses the front in turn number 11. These two guys would go on to battle where Matthew Scholz would end up going back through on Cam Peterson and make a late charge, actually, after he gets through on Cam. Here you go. This is the lap. This is the pass that sealed the deal for him. He actually ended up closing up on Bobby Fong. You see just there in the background, but this guy goes on and wins the number 11.
And a rough day for Ducati's Loris Baz, who's with one of the members of our broadcast team, Hannah Lofa.
Well, Greg, you're right. It was a frustrating end to the race for Loris Baz when he was just getting off to a great start. Loris, what is it that you need to do today to get to where you want to be?
Well, good start. Trying to come back as soon as possible and going to the end with a great pace. And we know we have a great pace, so we'll see where we are after lap 1 and then just doing the job we've been doing all weekend.
Well, best of luck out there. Thank you so much, Loris. Guys.
That is definitely the goal for Loris Baz, to get this thing back up and going. But Jason, yesterday, let's take a look inside the numbers because Bobby Fong had a good run. Second place. Take a look at the results for Fong this year. You can see he started off with a second place finish and they've been up and down. And then the last race we've had, he goes second place. So let's get down to Jamie Howe, who has the number 50, Fong.
And Bobby Fong is getting ready to race, and after finishing second on the podium yesterday, he said he was frustrated with the amount of time he was losing in the second corner of this racetrack. Bobby, what did you guys fix overnight to pick up some more speed?
I just thought about just giving a little bit more of this, and hopefully it pays off today, and hopefully we get a little closer to Gagne. But I'm looking forward to the race, and I feel pretty good through the infield, so I'm going to use some of my strategies and give it a hell.
This team's got a little bit of a rejuvenation, Greg.
Yeah, they certainly do, and that's what will happen when you get that podium finish. Now, Jason Pridmore, let's take a look at this 2.5-mile Brainerd International Raceway circuit.
Well, those first two turns are so much fun on a big 1,000 Superbike, Greg. Turns 1 and 2. Going to be getting up close to 170 mile an hour in 5th gear as they enter turn 2. Down to turn 3, hard braking through 5, 6, 7. A lot of different passes we saw there yesterday into the technical sections as well. You can see 8, 9, 10. That's where we saw Matthew have his little moment. I talked to him about that this morning. And then turns 12 and 13 lead you back onto that straightaway. This place was always known and it was iconic for its speed, and I'm glad we still do have some of that there in turns 1 and 2.
All right, now let's welcome in Roger Hayden. The fast rider himself gets to take a Ducati around for our Ducati Fast Lap look at VIR.
Let's take a look at my first ever lap on the new layout here at Brainerd International Raceway on my Ducati V4S. You go through a left-hand turn 7 and to the new turn 8, a long right-hand carousel that's a little bumpy in the middle. that leads into a quick, tight right-left chicane. The riders will come out of there, grab a gear heading into a left-hand turn 10, to a right-hand turn 11, out of there a short shoot into turn 12. A tricky, really hard braking into there. We've seen a lot of riders make some mistakes into that corner this weekend. Out of there, a right-hander onto the front straightaway.
All right, a great perspective from Roger Hayden. Thank you so much for that Ducati fast lap. What about Matthew Skoltz? He finished third yesterday, looking to climb another step on the podium. The Westby riders got some speed.
Well, as they do their warm-up here, Roger Hayden, I'm Robbie Floyd. We get our thoughts, and it'll be our final thoughts because we'll get to racing here very soon. I looked over at you and said, will this be the one that Bobby Fong wins? Now, we couldn't hear really what he's working with as we take a look at the 69 of J.D. Beach. Bobby looked better yesterday than I seen him, and I know that Gagne, I think, was kind of holding off for a bit and finding out what was going on with that bike. But Bobby looked better than we've seen him in a while.
Yeah, Bobby looked like the Bobby we seen last year when he won a couple races and was a podium guy every weekend. So really good to see him back on the podium. Kind of struggled a little bit this season, and whatever they're working on looks like they've kind of got it figured out. And I'm excited for the race today. It's going to be, I think, another exciting race, and I'm looking forward to it.
You see the 69 at J.D. Beach again filling in for Josh Herron, test positive for COVID. So I know Josh probably watching right now, and I'm sure he's probably, everybody having a toast of Coors Light for Josh right now. We wish you were here, and he wanted to be here more than anything. But I want him at least a six-pack. But, Josh, get well, and we hope to see you at the next stop at Pittsburgh. But until then, J.D. Beach is going to be on that fresh and lean Attack Performance Yamaha. We see Loris Baz on that new Steed. Will they get it up to speed? Because, remember, when he went down, he was the leader of that race.
He was the leader, but, this morning in the warm-up, he actually looked like he was struggling a little bit. Maybe didn't have the same feel as the other bike, but also – he might not have a lot of parts left, so maybe he wasn't pushing too hard this morning. Didn't want to take a risk to hit the deck again, so it'll be interesting to see. He's been really on pace all weekend, fast and consistent. So hopefully, they get some of their problems all sorted out.
Now, as far as the lineup for these guys, it's different than it had been in years past, right? I mean, used to, once the line had been set from the pole positions, once they were set, they're set. But now they go off of the race number one.
Yeah, so Loris Baz is going to be starting 10th today and not on the front row. So he's going to get a really good start, try to get past some of those super stock guys really early before they get into turn 3 if he wants a chance to hang on to this guy who's on quite the roll right now and looks solid this morning in the warm-up as well.
Maybe a little bit of a deficit for Jake Gagne. We saw a lot of bikes getting squirrely out from underneath him. His box, his starting spot right there is a little different than the ones to his left.
Yeah, they're a little bit different, and then we seen on the start yesterday, he got a little sideways off the start, so I'm sure he probably looked at the data and got some of that stuff all looked out and working on it. So looking forward to see if he has that same mistake as yesterday.
You see the asphalt right there. It's a different color. He's the only one that's fully in that. I think the back tire even for Bobby Fong may not be. Actually, Bobby might be in it as well, but they both talked about how it was different, and that's probably why we saw the squirrely move out of Gagne.
And you can see all the guys kind of throwing their hands up. It's a cool day. It's breezy. No tire warmers on with the quick start. They're not wanting to sit there too long and let those tires cool off.
So we'll get ready to send it over to the guys next door. Can Jake Gagne keep that ball a-rolling? That is 10 race wins in a row out of 11 opportunities. Can he make it 11 today? Bobby Fong has something to say about it. Matthew Skoltz, he didn't want to back down. Cam Peterson, he's looking for his first win in HONOS Superbike. Either way, it's going to be a great race. We're trying to get the Dunlop tires heated up one more time. And Bobby Fong leading the charge. We'll send it back to Jason and Greg in today's race.
Today's Superbike coverage is sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by Medallia, the pioneer and market leader in customer and employee experience.
Congratulations to HONOS Superbike racer Max Flinders. A couple days ago, he is now an American citizen. Good for Max.
Yeah, pretty cool. And he's actually he's been pretty good this weekend too, Greg. I saw him here Thursday riding a little bit and kept on getting faster and better. And but that's a big deal for him, and so congrats.
Take a look at that starting grid and find out where Max ended up, as Jake Gagne is your pole sitter. Now, keep in mind, these are how they finished yesterday. So as we look back to the field of Fong, Schultz, Peterson, Hector Barbera, and JD Beach. JP?
Yeah, it's going to be a good spot for JD if they're coming from row 2. Jake Lewis, Andrew Lee, and David Anthony. Then we have Loris Baz, Bradley Ward, and Michael Gilbert. They're on the outside of row 4. Wyatt Ferris, Corey Alexander, Danella Lewis, with Wyman Farrell, and there's Flinders on row number 6. A little further back, Schmatter Coffee on a Yamaha. Yates is a scratch from this event, unfortunately. Perk, Meist, and Kuna, they're on row number 8. Row number 9 is Hunter Dunham. So yeah, bummer to see Ashton Yates not here. He had a problem yesterday. We were going away from the last lap of the race, Greg. We saw him crash pretty spectacularly, and he had a mechanical going down there into turn 12. Just happy he's okay, and they're going to try to regroup for Pittsburgh.
Getting ready to get this HONOS Superbike race number 2 here from Brainerd International Raceway underway. Your pole sitter, Jake Gagne, looking for a clean start. You can see the dark patch where Gagne's motorcycle's on. That's a brand new bit of asphalt here at BIR, and he spun up quite a bit on the start of that race yesterday.
And that's a spot, Greg, where I saw your Instagram post this morning. It's a place where the track doesn't get used ever, really, down there. So maybe a little bit dirty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep an eye on that today.
All right, so 18 laps scheduled in this race. Revs are going up. Clutch is out and we're away. Oh, good launch from Bobby Fong, but it looked like he had a bit of a hesitation. Oh, Gagne up and out of the saddle.
Yep, up and out of it, just like we saw yesterday. A little bit loose off the start. Gets a good jump, though, this time does Gagne, and Bobby Fong's going to want to go with him immediately. Going to look back a little further and see the improvements that Baz is making coming from 10th on the grid. You're going to see that Ducati, as it looks like he's trying to go under his friend Hector Barbera there. Not going to make it. Gagne is going to lead him through. Fong trying to go with him. Schultz, Peterson, Barbera there in 5th. And then it's going to be JD Beach and Loris Baz.
Fresh and lean attack performance, Yamaha's Jake Gagne, a huge moment right from the get-go. Look like
Matthew got in there just a little bit deep, lost the front. That's going to open up the spot for Peterson. Barbera's going to be wanting to attack immediately, but this is what's needed to happen. Fong is needing and wanting to go off. When he was successful winning 600 Supersport races back in the day, he was the guy that was always setting that first lap. Gagne's been the master of that this year.
So Cam Peterson in 3rd place, the 11 Schultz. And look at Gagne trying to break Bobby Fong. Gagne hasn't had to look back. It's Fong who's just gritting his teeth and holding on.
This is what Bobby does, though. If he can get to that mid-stage of the race and still be within shout of the 32 and just continue to grind those laps out. I mean, what we all will need to see really is +0 or +1 on the board to Gagne for half the race, and then you're going to get to see a race at the front. Gagne's just done such a great job. Let's look and see what this first flying lap is, Greg. They qualified at a minute 29.8, and that's a 32.5 from a standing start. So less than 3 seconds from a standing start, Gagne gets close, and you can see the gap that these first 2 guys have pulled away from Cam Peterson and Matthew Schultz.
And Jay, looking at Cam Peterson, is his M4X Star Suzuki. It looks a lot better than it did yesterday. There was a lot of movement, especially when he would roll off the throttle, a lot of twitchiness, and it was difficult for Peterson to hold on to. You can see how it's bucking under acceleration and spinning up. Will that give an opportunity for his countryman to make a move underneath? It doesn't. So Peterson, who's in the middle of his first year on the M4X Star Suzuki after winning the Stock 1000 Championship.
But you remember yesterday, Greg, that gap was there, and then Cam kind of closes that gap down. It's almost like he gets 2 or 3 laps under his belt, gets comfortable, and then starts chasing after those guys up ahead of him. So we're going to watch his lap times as this is going to be our first, obviously, full lap at pace. But then we'll see what his 3rd and 4th laps are like. And Baz, so far, hasn't made too big of an impression on the guys in front. He's got by Barbera, though, so that's a good move for Loris, as he's got his sights set now on Matthew Schultz and Cam Peterson in front. You heard him say he's got good pace, which he does. But coming today from 4th row has definitely made it a little bit harder on that 76 machine.
A good look at our gap from 1st to 2nd to 3rd. And Loris Baz with the bit between his teeth on the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York entry. Yesterday, that swing arm looked like it was broken in half, so the team having to go back and put a machine together for Loris Baz. Questions coming in about the specs of that machine. That's a full-blown Bologna special bike from Ducati, MotoAmerica spec. Couple slight changes from World Superbike spec, but it is as close as the rules will allow.
And how about out front? Give a shout out. 29.9. It's a 10th off of what he qualified at. Is Jake Gagne. So he puts the hammer down to a 30.7. 8/10 slower that time was Bobby Fong. So Gagne is obviously feeling comfortable, as we know. Yesterday, talking to Richard Stamboli, big move from Baz as he gets close to Skoltz and just kind of gently nudges his way through there in turn number 5. Big committed pass. It's Baz, he's looking to get to the front. Stamboli said yesterday that even though Jake was able to win that race, there was still a couple little tweaks on that bike. So now he's got something that, you know, both bars are in line and everything's perfect on that motorcycle now. And we see that 29.9. That's a fast lap.
What a bold move from the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York entry, Loris Baz. Let's take a look at it. Jason, tons of confidence in the way this motorcycle turns.
Just gets the bike up off the edge of the tire and sneaks himself under there, and now he's in that spot where he's got to be committed to make it. Matthew's probably going to sense a little bit that he's there. You can see him move up just a little bit and allows Baz to go through. Just saw Hector Barbera. You can see that dust in the background there. That's right where we're at, standing right in front of our in our position here where we're announcing. He ran off the track there.
Yeah, Barbera was in the 6th place position. Baz moves his way up to 4th. Now in the full draft, trying to get around the M4X Star Suzuki. Can't do it. Hannah, what you got?
So we'll look and see now as these guys enter turn 3. Baz hasn't been able to get close.
What a moment.
Cam gets a little bit loose to see if this opens the door for Baz. It does. Just that little bit of a momentum killer for Cam Peterson as they come out of turn 3. And Baz is able to make that position in turn 4. Let's see if he can start chasing. Hannah, you there?
Guys, talking to Loris Baz yesterday, the bike was pretty damaged and they wanted to really take some time to go through it and repair it to its full potential. So he is on the 2nd bike today. They were able to replicate the settings from the first bike. This morning in warm-up, they were working through some things. He was having some sensor trouble, etc., but they managed to get all of it dialed for today's race. He said personally he's just riding a little different than he normally likes to in order to adapt to this track. And the bike setup is strong enough that he feels he can still push hard.
You know, I watched warm-up this morning, Hannah, and he was 7th quickest, doing like a minute 32 something. So he's already gone 31.1 in traffic. Wouldn't be surprised to see him start dropping these lap times down into that minute 30 range, along with the times somewhat of the leaders in front now that he's got some clear track. So it's taken Loris about 4 laps to get to the position that he needed to be. The other 2 guys have cleared out a little bit. Let's see if he can get his head down, get those lap times back into the places that we know he can get to, and get a good result for this Warhorse Ducati team today.
Yeah, and Jason, after watching the laps that he was trying to grind out this morning in warm-up versus now, his Ducati looks a lot more in line, a lot more planted, yeah.
Yeah, you and I watched that together up here, and the bike was moving around a lot this morning. And you can see Skoltz now goes up underneath Cam Peterson, so he wants to tie on into the back. Skoltz yesterday had incredible pace at the end, and if you remember, our race got cut short a few laps yesterday. Skoltz felt like he had the pace to maybe do something with Bobby late as he closed that gap. And you can see runs a little bit wide, and Cam runs up onto him there. But Matthew Skoltz wants to try to go with Loris Baz and hopefully draw back in maybe Bobby Fong. Now, just behind these guys.
I was just going to say.
Yeah, did you see that? JD Beach doing a nice job there on the 2nd attack Yamaha, just back there in 6th spot.
So JD Beach, there he is. Used to run number 95 for this race. 95 is taken by Matthew Kuna. So the 69 of JD Beach, fresh and lean attack performance Yamaha. Jamie has more on JD Beach.
And he got the call in late to be here. So over the course of the weekend with that test day on Thursday, they've just slowly been making adjustments to that bike. He's a little bit shorter than Jake Gagne is. So to get the center of gravity back, they've had to move the wheel back a little bit. Just small things to get him more comfortable. And he said finally this morning in morning warm-up, he felt like he was actually riding the bike without thinking about it. It was just becoming second nature, and he's feeling so much more comfortable here on the 2nd race day.
And I talked to him as well today, and I said, JD, if you weren't doing any flat track at all, nothing in the dirt, and you just weren't maybe just doing some track days, would it have been easier for you to get the call and come ride this bike? Which he agreed. getting used to grip again after having a bike underneath you that's continuously sliding around has been something that takes a couple of days to do. And to jump on one of these super bikes and just automatically think that you're going to get right back up to pace. He's on day 4 now, and you can see what a few days does on this motorcycle. But he definitely said to me, getting used to grip again is something that is hard to do in a short period of time and to perform at this level.
I can imagine, too, the amount of speed. I mean, what are you going when you're flat tracking? 100 miles an hour at the fastest tracks? And to sit here and go 169 miles per hour on a HONOS Superbike is definitely a big change for the brain.
Yeah, and you know, Greg, last year we saw him get on a 600 Super Sport bike, and you think about where technology has gone even in the last 3 years since JD was running a competitive Superbike here with us at MotoAmerica a couple years ago. Everything changes, so there's so many new things to get used to. When you jump on a production-based 600 Super Sport bike, there's not going to be as many things to get used to on that bike, so it's going to be a little bit more relative to him, be a little easier for him to get on. But when you get on one of these motorcycles that are making 200-plus horsepower, and like you say, when you're going 160, 170 mile an hour, it's a big difference than what you're used to.
So Jake Gagne now 3.4 seconds ahead of Bobby Fong, who comes across the stripe 3.4 seconds ahead of Loris Baz, Matthew Skoltz, Cam Peterson, JD Beach. Hector Barbera back in 7th after his off-track incident with Jake Lewis, Wyatt Ferris, and Corey Alexander locked in a battle in the Superbike Cup for the stock 1000 spec machines. A tear-off taken by the 11 of Skoltz. No drama there.
Yeah, and Baz just hasn't been able to get away from these other two. He still has 3.4 seconds to try to catch up to Bobby Fong. These guys are kind of all just doing 31s at the moment. The 31 flat at the front, though, for Gagne. Then everybody else is 31.4s and 31.3s. So they're actually going the same pace as Bobby Fong, but the gap right now is just a little bit too big for them to close down.
Yeah, and with Cameron Peterson, that 31.3, Jason, that you just talked about, his personal best. But he did it on the back of 2 personal best splits in sectors 3 and sectors 4. So whatever we saw from Cam Peterson in terms of the rear wheel spinning up, he seemed to work his way through it and figure out where there's grip and where there's not. But Loris Baz doing a great job after yesterday's mishap, putting that behind him and staying focused and trying to get this Ducati on the podium. Now we're starting to see that midway point of the race. We're getting close to it, Jay. We're going to start seeing some things move around. You know, it looks like someone ran off there.
Oh, is that
Bobby Fong? So
oh,
Bobby
man.
Fong ran off in turn number 12. That's going to hand second place to Loris Baz. So Fong gathers it up, comes ahead on the track just ahead of JD Beach. So now, after a solid second place run for Bobby Fong, he makes a mistake, and now he's got a lot of work to do. But no big deal for the M4X Star Suzuki rider Bobby Fong. He didn't tip over. He's just got to put his head down now and get back after it.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for him to do that. And you can see JD Beach by Bobby Fong. You can see a little bit of dirt still on the left-hand side of that M4X Star Suzuki. Greg, he's going to be a little bit careful. You could tell when he went down to turn 2, you can see it on the left side of his tire here. It's he's got some dirt on both tires, so he's got to get through this turn. There you go. It's cleaned up a little bit now. And then he should be on his way. But let's see if he can make an impression on the 3 riders ahead of him. Here we go as we look in the background. There's Gagne going into turn 13, and Fong just not able to get the bike slowed down and turn as he went into turn 12. Very tricky corner.
Yeah, just overcooked it, and that turn can definitely suck you in. So now here's the group that's in second place with Loris Baz on that Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York entry. He's now got second with Jake Gagne about 7 seconds up the road. But of course, he's got Skoltz and Peterson on his tail. But from what I understand, we have a special guest from Ducati Corsa in Italy here. Hannah, who do you have?
Greg, that's right. I'm here with Paolo Ciabatti. He's the sporting director for Ducati Corsa. Paolo, you haven't been back to the United States since you were last year at Brainerd. How has your experience been with MotoAmerica so far this weekend?
It was good. Unfortunately, yesterday that accident spoiled a little bit the day, but now with Loris starting from 10th position, he's already second after that mistake from Bobby Fong. So let's see. Obviously, you know, it looks like Gagne this year is something more than anybody else. But let's see if we can bring back a podium. It will make our weekend sweeter.
You must be really happy with the progress that Ducati has made in American racing.
Yeah, for sure. This year, with this fantastic team, Warhorse, HSBK, Ducati, we did a fantastic job. We provided the best possible material. I think Loris is a great rider. He likes to race here, and we put together a great team.
Thank you so much for being here, Paolo. Guys.
All right, that's awesome. It shows you the commitment Ducati Corsa has in Italy to MotoAmerica racing. Great to see Paolo Ciabatti here. And, of course, he'll be back in the States in October when MotoGP visits Austin, Texas.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Greg, I think Brainerd was the first American round that we ever saw run a World Superbike event. So when Hannah says that it's been a while since he's been here, I'm sure that's what he was probably back here doing. So it's great to have him here. I agree with everything he said. He's got a strong team, got a great rider, and that once all these pieces just get put together, it's going to be beneficial. I think the guy right now that looks the best right now out of these three, though, is Matthew Skoltz. Looks really comfortable on that bike, and I think as the race gets longer, Matthew just kind of gets better. That's what we saw yesterday when he was starting to run back down Bobby Fong. Cam Peterson also looking strong at this stage, but look at the speed that Matthew Skoltz has there through turn number 1. Extremely comfortable through there. And if he's close enough, Greg, he might do something down in turn 3. This is as close as we've seen him. And right now, he's going to be able to get the benefit of a little bit of a toe as they come out of turn 3. Not close enough. He's going to fall back in line.
That Ducati has got some legs, though, Jason, as we know. The door was open there just a little bit, too, for Baz, trying to get it down to the apex, but still holds on to second place. 7.9 seconds up the road is your leader, Jake Gagne, on the Fresh and Lean Attack Performance Yamaha. The battle you're witnessing right now is Loris Baz, Warhorse HSBK Racing, Ducati New York entry. He's in second place over Westby Racing's Matthew Skoltz and M4 X-Star Suzuki's Cam Peterson, who's starting to lose a bike length here or there. We'll see if Peterson's able to gather it back up and maintain this pace. They're doing 31.2, 31.1, just about the same pace that Gagne's doing out front.
Yeah, but Gagne's just managing. He's got almost an 8-second lead. There's no real reason for him to be pushing any harder than he is. I'm sure those lap times are coming pretty easy for him. For him to be doing 31.3s, he's probably running at a percentage, Greg, that's not going to be anywhere near what probably these guys are. And so he's just trying to get this bike home. These guys will be battling all the way to the finish. You can see Bobby Fong just getting into our picture there in turn 12. He's about 3 seconds off this leading group, and last time through he was 31.5. These guys right now, just as they come across the line, 31.2s, 31.4s, 31. JD Beach doing a great job, by the way, staying in that group where he can still see everybody right in front of him.
This is HONOS Superbike Racing for MotoAmerica. The battle for second place. HONOS Superbike, based off of motorcycles you can buy right off the showroom floor. You're looking at a Ducati Panigale V4. The Foundation, same bike you can buy. And the number 11, riding a Yamaha R1. And then behind him, a GSXR 1000. And this is what makes HONOS Superbike Racing so spectacular, is the fact that these are motorcycles that are tied directly to the bikes you can find in your own garage. And they put on quite a show with this type of racing. As close as you like it, Jake Gagne with a 7.6 second lead. So these riders have chipped away at the lead that Gagne's managing. But it's Baz Skoltz Peterson with Fong in fifth, ahead of JD Beach, Hector Barber, Jake Lewis, Corey Alexander, and Wyatt Ferris.
Look at Matthew. He's going to have a go, Greg. He's having a look.
He's
going to make that pass. And now Matthew Skoltz runs second gear all the way around that big long right. And what you'll see Loris do, Loris comes into there, runs second all the way around right to the point where it tightens up, and he backshifts it into first. So Matthew, I'm sure, studied that, realized that if Baz does that extra little downshift back to first gear, he's going to be able to carry that roll speed up underneath Baz, and that's exactly what he was able to do there.
Jason, for Matthew Skoltz, you know, Jamie was mentioning that he was working on some of his own personal riding yesterday, trying some different lines, and today when I talked to him, he said really he's looking to get out of the corner better, looking for better drive, better edge grip overall. He wants to find the pace, but he is confident on the brakes and the front end. You know, he feels really strong through a lot of different sectors, but yesterday, being in that battle with Cameron Peterson, he was able to watch and really learn and see where other riders might be stronger than him and some things that he can change for his own riding. And while he may not have been able to race with Loris Baz yesterday, hopefully that battle with Cameron Peterson was enough to prepare him for this fight that's going to go straight to the finish, like you said, Greg.
Yeah, this thing is going to get really snug at this point, and you can start to see that the Ducati is getting a little bit looser with more urgency this late in the race. Is Baz going to fight back right now? No, he doesn't. So a good run and well-planned attack by Matthew Skoltz on the Westby Racing number 11 Yamaha.
Yeah, we'll see what these lap times start to do now as far as you know, now we're down to 7.5 seconds. So like you say, Gagne's just out kind of front managing this. If he does 31s, it's going to be very difficult. Well, it will be impossible for these guys to even think about closing in anymore. Matthew Skoltz now is just trying his best to try to open up that gap over Baz. Here you go, Gagne through turn 12, through 13. He'll have 6 laps to go this time by, and you got to really appreciate what this guy has done. He's not only changed how he has ridden the motorcycle, but he's taken the data and learned from the team of what an incredibly successful Cameron Beaubier has gone on and done, and he's been able to kind of look at some of that stuff and parallel some things to himself and to what Cameron did. And, you know, when you see a guy out here 7.5 seconds ahead of the field that we have, and again, that mistake we saw him make here yesterday, pretty uncharacteristic, obviously, of Jake Gagne, and he was able to get back up and win that race. But today it's just clear sailing.
I asked Jake Gagne yesterday about that mistake that he made, and he said, you know, I wouldn't really change anything. He said, were the tires too cold? Yeah, maybe, but my job is to go fast in every situation. I had guys behind me that were pushing me forward, so he had to do the same, and it ended up that the red flag came out. They were able to get the bike fixed, but the best lap time he was able to do was a 1:30.6 during that first race. Here today, he's already done a 1:29.9, so that speaks to how the bike was bent, but he's still up there just doing his job. He keeps his head down, and he goes fast regardless of what kind of pressure is behind him.
Yeah, Jay, and you know that sometimes these things happen. You talked about data and team. We got information about Jake Gagne and what he's doing. Top speed of 169 miles an hour. At his best lean angle, Jason, 66 degrees. His maximum brake pressure, 209 PSI. Think about it. You put, what, 35 to 40 pounds of pressure in your car tires, and he's 100% open throttle, 26% of the lap. Those are quite some data points there.
And I think if you were to ask most people watching our races and you said, how often do you think these Superbike riders are at 100% throttle, that number would be a lot higher than 26% if a lot of people out there had to guess. So that just goes to show you the throttle management that he's using all the way around here. And it's not always about getting that thing as open as you can in some of the smaller, shorter parts of this track. It's about managing what you're doing with that throttle and how it transfers to that rear tire.
7.1 seconds now between Jake Gagne and Matthew Skoltz, who's starting to put a little bit of daylight between himself and Loris Baz. At the line, it was about a half a second. You can see the Ducati starting to really struggle finding rear grip as Baz opens up the throttle. Cameron Peterson now falling into the clutches of his teammate Bobby Fong behind this final podium battle.
I mean, the fact that these guys just both ran their fastest laps of the race that lap through. Matthew obviously has some pace here at the end, and Baz is doing everything he can to go with him. And you are right, Greg. Bobby Fong has now closed up on that gap onto his teammate, Cam Peterson. Bobby's probably going to be kicking himself for that small mistake that he made down there. That's going to probably not allow him to get up onto the podium today, but he's going to try to line up Cam here somewhere, try to get by him as quickly as he can, because there's about 2.3 seconds ahead as that battle for that podium spot.
M4X Star Suzuki teammates, Cameron Peterson, 4 podiums this year, Bobby Fong on 2, and they're just in the 4th spot. Any drama happens in front of them, they're going to be poised for a spot. Here goes Bobby Fong, turn 13 up the inside of his teammate. He'll take over the spot, see if Peterson has some fight in him.
Yeah, Cam always has fight in him, and he's going to just try to probably latch onto the back of Bobby. He has probably seen his lap board go down from +3 to +2 to +1, and so we'll see if he's able to continue to close that gap. When they went across that time, they were 3.6 behind Baz, so with 4 to go, looks like it could be a little futile as far as getting up on that podium, but Bobby's going to do everything he can to just open that gap up on Cam. And I think that overall, 2nd and a 4th on a weekend for Bobby Fong, compared to what we have seen, unfortunately, for a few weekends, this would be a nice little weekend for him.
Yeah, but Jason, look at Bobby Fong. I know that he can see one turn up the road.
Oh, yeah.
Is that battle for second, and he's going to be pushing as hard as he can all the way to the end. Gagne, the lead down to 6.9 seconds with what Jason said, 3.5 laps to go in this one. So Gagne in full management mode, just giving away a 10th here or there. Still sitting on that fastest lap of the race, so 129.922. It'll be a race lap record when this is over. Can't imagine Gagne is going to push to anything beyond that this late in the race with no need to do so.
No, he's out there on cruise right now. Pretty impressive that Baz has been able to dig in and go with number 11, Matthew Skoltz. They're very, very close, obviously, in times. but he's been able to try to, maybe make something happen here. Gagne goes across the line at a 31.3. The next couple of guys are going to go across the line, Greg, and you can see Bobby Fong and them coming out. They're doing 31.3s, 31.2s. Bobby Fong, 31.5. So Matthew opens up in this little area here, and turn 3 is one of the primary places to pass. They're ripping through turn 2 right now. And you can see Baz just isn't quite close enough. That said, Greg, he did make that pass earlier between 4 and 5.
He did, but I was just looking at through the fast section. Oh, Baz.
Yeah, it just gets backed in, and when it backs in like that and it snaps back around, you got to be careful not to lose the front.
Yeah, I mean, the rider talent level on Loris Baz is extremely high. So talented, but also our tallest rider in the paddock. He has a lot of ability to control the motorcycle, utilizing that height. And of course, what he gives away, just a natural height. He's very, very fit, very skinny.
Yeah, both these guys are.
Yeah, but just on the height alone, the fact that when he got on this Warhorse HSBK Racing, Ducati New York, Ducati Panigale V4R, he had smiles on his face at the beginning of the year because he said, finally I'm going to be on a motorcycle that's not going to be at a deficit to the other riders because of the size that they are. But they continue to work on this motorcycle and continue to make it better and continue to develop it specifically for these Dunlop tires that are made in the U.S. This motorcycle as close to the World Superbike spec as you can get, the Ducati, but those are developed on other tires, non-Dunlop tires. So the team continues to work with Ducati and developing this motorcycle. As for this Westby Racing Yamaha R1, they're working so hard. We heard about a change they made yesterday to make Matthew more comfortable with certain parts of the racetrack. And Jay, it's these really fast corners that Scholz goes through that it just looks like the motorcycle, even when it's starting to drift under acceleration, just looks very much in control.
It's controlled, isn't it? Yeah, you can really tell that. I agree with you. It's a very controlled movement that he's got from that bike. And let's see here, still low 31s right now for these guys. And but Matthew, yeah, he just looks a lot more comfortable. He had that little mid-season kind of lull where he wasn't quite where he wanted to be, get the results he wanted. But right now, him and the team have been working really hard to get him back to where he needs to be. Baz, to me, it looks like right now he's just kind of been sitting back there and he's ready to make a run. They got about a lap and a half left in this race, so Baz is really looking at the spots where he might want to try to do something with the number 11.
Yeah, no reason to push the issue. Control the tire wear and the tire temperature as Gagne's lead down to 6.4 seconds with about a lap and a half to go.
Oh, Baz lost a lot of time. He lost a lot of time in that big, long carousel turn. So that could be something as simple as missing a gear or something, because he went through that corner right behind as they were going through it. It looked like he was just directly behind Scholz, and he's lost that time now as you see Gagne is getting into some of the back markers. And we'll look and see what that gap is between Scholz and Baz when they went across. It's a second now between second and third. This guy didn't care. Greg, at the beginning of the year, did you expect that we'd see somebody win 12 in a row?
No, absolutely.
I mean, anybody, right?
No, absolutely not. And this is going to be 11 for Jake Gagne if he can hold on to this thing as battles continue all over the racetrack. And there's that big gap. So Loris Baz had a plan, but something gone wrong through the carousel and has created this ginormous gap now, and Baz might have to settle for third. It's not done yet, but how about Jake Gagne? In control of this motorcycle, we've talked about it before, feeling one with the bike. Can get it to do anything he wants. With a new crew chief this year, and the team really clicking for him, the Fresh and Lean Attack Performance Yamaha rider is setting sail on his way to 11 race wins in a row. This is just unprecedented. And he's doing it breaking track records this year all over the place. The only track we've gone to this year where he hasn't broken the track record is WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
Correct.
Jake Gagne pointing to his crew saying, yeah, we got another one. Onto the front straightaway we go. Wheel in the air, kinda. Shaking the number 1, and Gagne with another victory does the double here at Brainerd International Raceway. Scholz will come home in second. Loris Baz will get the Ducati on the podium ahead of Bobby Fong in fourth. 3 seconds back. And Jake Lewis on the 85 will be the first of our Superbike Cup competitors.
Man, this guy this weekend, Greg, 32.4 on this stock 1000 bike for Jake Lewis. It has been an absolutely perfect weekend for him at a track. Again, he drove up here the first day, kind of got to talk to him quite a bit and hang out with him, but I don't even think he would have expected to just really blow the competition away of our stock 1000 and Superbike Cup riders.
So happy to have him back in our paddock and to be able to showcase American talent. Wheel in the air. He'll take 8th on the racetrack, but maximum points in the Superbike Cup competition for those stock 1000 spec machines. Here comes Corey Alexander ahead of Bradley Ward. Bradley Ward in 9th place, Corey in 10th, but ahead of Wyatt Ferris. Here's the race pace for Jake Gagne, who's thanking the fans for coming out to Brainerd International Raceway. There is that lap record, 129.922. And you can see he put the pressure on Jay from lap 2 to lap 8 and then started to fall into his rhythm and manage the race.
Yeah, he really did. And I mean, it's just, you don't want to say it's easy, because he'll tell you it's not easy, but he puts in that work in those first 6 laps, creates that gap, and then legitimately for the last, what, Greg, 10 laps of that race, he was just doing the same times as the guys in second.
And you know, Jay, this thing starts really from when they roll this motorcycle off the truck, and he gets up to speed so incredibly fast in the first practice session, and that allows that team to start to develop this bike and to really get it up to speed so quickly. And it's something that the competitors have really start turning their heads and looking at. What's the process? Not just the speed of Jake Gagne, but what's the process he and his team are going through to get this motorcycle so comfortable for him to be able to do these incredibly fast lap times.
But when you talk to him, and he makes everything sound very simple. And I think that goes along again with having such a great team and crew and bike. And when you just are that rider and you have all of those things come into play and come into line for you. We saw Josh Hayes for 4 years win the Superbike Championship, and you just see these trends with people. They get around the right people, the right bikes, the right teams, and this is what you get.
So for Jake Gagne, a 5.2 second victory, one big moment at the start of the race, but in the end, it's business as usual. We'll hear from Gagne on the other side of this break.
Well, that was interesting. The 11th win for Jake Gagne, and a very confident ride out of him, and just one little bitty bobble there, but a strong run by Matt Schultz. I don't know what it is with that bike in the start, but he looks sketchy as all get out, and then he kind of finds his rhythm and get things going, and he looks pretty darn good back there in second.
Yeah, looked really good there. First couple laps, looks like he struggles a little bit, but after that, got going and rode a really solid race after the first couple laps. Made a really good pass on Baz there in the carousel and held on to second. Loris was pressuring him the rest of the race. He made no mistakes, and that was a ride. One of the best rides we've seen out of Matt in a while.
Loris Baz finishing third, and it was a good run by him, a strong run by him, and a dive bomb move. It was like, hey, boss, watch this. Look at how I can make a pass. That was good. I mean, I think I saw Carbon touch an arm there for a second. That was aggressive and a strong move by Loris Baz on Matty Schultz early on.
Yeah, it was a really aggressive pass into 5, and it wasn't dirty, but definitely I think they were rubbing elbows a little bit, and that was I think he was ready to make a move, and
yeah,
it was just was committed and really good pass.
Gagne, Schultz, Baz, they'll make their way to the victory podium. You look back at 4th place, Bobby Fong. What could have been? You saw it off in the background. You said, oh, something happened to Fong, and then sure enough, he kind of straight shot 12. Was able to jump back in and still get 4th. That was a pretty incredible ride, knowing that he went off the track, had to jump back on. If he wouldn't have went off, he might have been there when Gagne caught up to those lappers.
Yeah, I think he would have been there for second on the podium. I don't think he would have caught up to Jake Gagne, but definitely had the pace to be second or third in that battle for the podium. So disappointing for him to make that mistake in the turn 12. Just got in, not sure what happened, maybe a false neutral or something, but ran pretty far off track and lost a lot of ground.
Yeah, and then that was your thoughts early when you just go straight like that and you're kind of by yourself. And I don't know that he was pushing full tilt. Cam Peterson with another top 5. JD Beach, very impressive out of him. We saw him even closing into that pack that was just in front. And for him to be able to hold off Hector Barbera by 0.6 of a second, that had to feel like a win for him.
Yeah, great ride by him. Just, you know, he could see those guys for over half the race, so just kept improving over the weekend. And just think of what he could do if he showed up at Pittsburgh with the same opportunity.
Oh, I know what he could do. I've seen him do it before. I saw him win at Virginia International Raceway a couple of years ago. Looking back through our top Superbike Cup competitor, Jake Lewis, a strong run. At times we thought, man, he might be able to catch up with Barbera. He closed in with I think 2.5 seconds, but then he started losing ground.
No, and you know his battle is the Superbike Cup, so why throw it away trying to hang on to the Superbike guys? So solid weekend by him, you know, winning all 3 classes, Super Stock 1000, both Cup races, Superbike Cup races. So what a great weekend for Jake.
And B-Dub, Bradley Ward, the 57, welcome back to the MotoAmerica paddock on the David Anthony, the ADR machine. Flat racing entry number 57, a top 10 finish, just ahead of Corey Alexander. I said this earlier. I looked over to you. I said, hey, if the Fresh Lean Yamaha crew come to you and say, hey, we got a ride for you, Roger Hayden, next year, would you take it?
I don't know. You put me on the spot. I'd think about it.
That's what I'm talking about. That bike looks so good coming off the trailer. Jake Gagne with the victory. We'll hear from him in a bit. Matt Schultz is second, and Loris Baz in third.
Are you ready?
Oh yeah, some moves were made here at Brainerd International Raceway. HONOS Superbike race number 2 in the books, and Jake Gagne right from the rip, Jason. He had a big moment, but he was able to save it and cruise home to a 5.2-second victory over Matthew Schultz and Loris Baz. A mistake by Fong puts him 4th over his teammate Cam Peterson. Good to have JD Beach back in 6th place.
Yep, Hector Barbera there, Jake Lewis, Bradley Ward. Welcome back to the top 10.
All right, let's get right down to Hannah with our winner.
Well, Greg, we saw Jake Gagne really soaking it all in, reveling this victory today out there on an extra long cool-down lap. Saying hi to all our fans. 2 victories again this weekend. Jake, how was this performance today different from yesterday's victory?
Yeah, after yesterday's craziness and red flag, I was just hoping we all made a nice, smooth race and didn't have to come back to the pits or put her in the grass. But hats off again to the Fresh Lean Attack Yamaha crew. You know, this weekend actually started off a little rough on Thursday and Friday, but we never gave up. We made really good improvements on the bike Saturday morning, and this thing just felt awesome. I got off to a clean start. Well, turn 1 was a little sketchy. I was trying to put the power down, but she was going, and but yeah, good race, and I was just kind of inching away from those guys. There was one lap, but it was only 2-3 seconds, and then all of a sudden there was a big gap, so something might have happened behind me, but again, hats off to this Yamaha, this Fresh Lean Attack Yamaha crew, Rye Helmets, Alpine Stars. Again, thanks to all the fans out here, because it's great to come to a new track, and this place is packed, so we're having fun, and hopefully we put on a good show, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Another consistent weekend and another track record for our championship points leader, Jake Gagne, guys.
You got to love it, don't you, Greg? Jake did lead Thursday and Friday every session, I think, so that was a rough start. You know what I mean?
They worked on some fork settings. He didn't quite have the feel he wanted.
Right?
Yeah. So that's what happens when you're at the tip top. All right, let's get right down to Jamie as our 2nd place finisher.
And with the 2nd place finish, Matthew Schultz maintains the 2nd place in the championship point standings, but it's the first double podium weekend of the season since all the way back in May. The team obviously did the work on the bike, but you did the work inwardly. You looked at some of the bad habits you developed. What effect did that have on the results this weekend?
Well, I mean, we got to round 4 or 5, and I was just going into a bad habit of overcharging corners and was really killing the drive. And, you know, with these superbikes now, they've got over 200 horsepower. It's all about trying to get the power down and drive out of the corners as well as you can. So we came here focusing on that, and I feel like every section we got faster and faster. We kind of closed the gap up to Jake. And to finish 2nd today, I'm just really happy. A huge shout out to the Westby guys. They've been working extremely hard, and I feel like we're kind of getting there. This new riding style for me is starting to kind of show me that this is how I need to kind of work on myself and, you know, kind of slow the entrance down, but also need to try to work on the first couple of laps. I'm really struggling there. I got to the halfway point and I kind of settled into my rhythm from there. And just want to, I know that my family is watching back home, and I know that with the travel ban, they're not able to come here, but I do miss you guys lots, and hopefully they'll be able to get you soon.
Congratulations, 2nd place finisher, Matthew Schultz.
Yeah, great job. I mean, this was a pretty successful weekend for him. I think, you know, again, yesterday he ends up third on the podium, but charging. Today's second on the podium and charging, and he's working on some things, so that makes it even nicer when you can see some of that stuff getting successful.
All right, let's get right back down to Hannah with third.
Starting 10th on the grid, Loris Baz fought his way all the way to a podium finish after such a challenging weekend. Are you happy with this result?
Well, we can't say we are happy after the good day we had yesterday, but yeah, after the shit first race and all the things that happened, starting from 10th, honestly, the second place was the best I could do today. I came through the pack, and when I was P2, Jake was already gone. So then we had a nice battle with Matthew. He rode really well. I did a mistake going into the last lap, hitting a neutral, and it was done. So hats off to them. We go back to work, try again. Happy to leave this place alive. And I just want to thank all the Ducati members, all the HSBK crew, Mr. Chabati, which is helping us a lot, and we're improving every weekend, so we will finally get there one time.
Rounding out your HONOS Superbike podium, Loris Baz.
And for Loris, he's been to the next race track we've been to.
Yep.
And
I think he's been to the next two.
Yeah, the next couple.
Yep.
So I think we're going to see some really fast things coming from Loris Baz and this team.
He's going to have one of those weekends where everything just gels and gets together, and he'll be there in both races. He was like that at Laguna too. So he's, I think today he'll have to be happy with where he was today.
All right, more coming at you. HONOS Superbike from Brainerd International Raceway when we come back.
As you heard Laura say, just happy to get through this weekend alive, and again, not knowing what they right then he's talking about a part where he felt like he could have come around and sent him off into the weeds. Just part of racing, though. I mean, you gotta fight through some of your favorite courses, or sometimes you struggle at ones that you're usually good at, and this is one that nobody knew what to expect. A pretty cool podium up there with that new video board and everything else, though, in the HONOS Superbike class. Is that little Richie Escalante there on the, the podium? What do you think about Jake Gagne and my introduction into MotoAmerica a couple years ago? You know, he come into the season all injured and stuff. We're seeing what a healthy Jake Gagne can do on a quality bike.
Yeah, definitely shown his full potential, and it's really cool to see. You know, Jake spent a lot of years on some stuff that might not been as competitive as a lot of us other guys, and never complained, kept his head down, and now he's got on a really good bike, and he's starting to show his full potential that I think a lot of us knew that he had. We've seen his talent in Super Sport and Stock 1000, and it's starting to all work out for him.
All right, I want to pose a question. What's JD doing?
The team trophy.
Oh, gotcha.
Jake's won so many races, they're running out of people to collect the trophy.
JD, it's your turn. Get on up there. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, think about that. What, we're 11 now. 11 out of 12. Pretty impressive. Pretty impressive, and we still have 3 more races left in the season. Those 3 races, we've seen the Yamaha win there before. We've seen Suzuki go strong there. The shaded out. Well, we're done with those for HONOS Superbike. But Pittsburgh, that place, that's awesome. That is a fun track to go to.
It's a really fun track. Everybody loves that one. There's a lot of elevation. Quite a bit different than this track. This track's pretty flat. And, it's one that everybody loves. It's, a track I like a lot. New Jersey's another really good track. It's a lot smaller, pretty tight, technical.
Pretty flat.
And we always see at New Jersey usually a lot of big bunches in the races.
Yeah, and there I think they made some track improvements as well. We know that they were trying to get rid of that little river runs through it section. And Barber, if you've never been to Barber, you need to come join us in Barber. It's great on TV, but it's really good in person.
It's awesome, and it's one of my favorite tracks as well. And everybody looks forward to going to Barber. Just the facility and everything there is just perfect. And for the spectators, there's so many good advantage points there.
Yeah, and I call it the Augusta of motorsports. Again, it's just outside of downtown Birmingham, Alabama. With our final race of the year, we will crown a champion. At the rate we're going right now, we're going to crown a champion. Even though there's 3 HONOS Superbike races there, rate we're going, we're going to crown one before we even get to Barber in that class. But again, we have 4 other classes. That's September 17th through 19th, the Augusta of Motorsports, Barber Motorsports Park. And if you're a motorcycle fan, period, and you like to check out some historical stuff, you need to go check out the Barber Museum. So, again, Jake Gagne with his 11th win in a row and 12 tries this year has one mechanical that possibly could have kept him out. He broke. We didn't get to see if he'd beat Matt Schultz. Either way, Matt Schultz is the only guy to beat Jake Gagne this year. Loris Baz is going to finish third. They're heading to the press conference. We're sending it back over to Jason and Greg.
Today's Superbike race coverage has been sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by HONOS, the apparel brand promoting talent within the adrenaline sports realm.
Are you going to be happy to take a plane soon?
Yeah, definitely. I've been riding to the races. I did, what, 10,500 miles?
Oh, that's just
on a
congrats.
Motorcycle and, you know, to the races. But I'll be riding to the rest of them this year for sure. How about this podium celebration? That's JD Beach standing up there taking the, what's that second trophy?
Like the
Crucci Manufacturer's Trophy. Yeah. So how cool is that? These two were teammates for many years a long time ago. How about the Geico motorcycle save? Look at the front bike 32. Gets on the gas, and that is, oh my goodness.
That is like real nervous times when you know you got a pack of riders directly behind you.
That's motocross skills from Jake Gagne, no question about it. So what do you think? Is Gagne vulnerable anywhere?
You know, I'm going to say no, just because I got to respect what he's been doing. I think that everybody's trying to close that gap, but Jake's just too good and riding amazing with a great team. So it's going to make it really difficult for anybody to beat him.
We're going to have
we haven't seen him in a battle yet, though.
Not just yet, but maybe at pit race. All right, we're going to talk about championship standings when we return.